Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I got asked by this question. Gambling. Vegas, Atlantic City. Is it kosher, yosher? Is it okay for an observant and God-fearing Jew to gamble or not? So this question is really dealt with if we look at the encyclopedic work of our great Torah giant. That giant of Torah that is head and shoulders above the regular Jew, Rav Ovadia Yosef and Yabia Omer, the 7th Chelek Choshen Mishpat, the 7th Siman. Rav Ovadia here was specifically asked, so we have to make a differentiation. Gambling among Jews, like Baruch Hashem, we have 10-15 people here tonight, and then gambling amongst non-Jews, because there's a different halacha. Also, the Ashkenazim are a little bit more lenient. But here specifically, they asked Rav Ovadia Yosef, is it okay to buy Israeli lottery tickets? So this leads us to a Talmud in, I apologize, it's Yabia Omer Siman Vav. So there's a Talmud in Sanhedrin. There are certain people that are disqualified for giving testimony. You understand? So if you're part of this group and you go to a wedding, Baruch Hashem, it's wedding season. Unfortunately, you would let the rabbi know, the officiating rabbi know, because these people are disqualified from being kosher witnesses. Hamesachek bekuvia, somebody that gambles. Vahamalve berebiit, somebody that loans people and charges people interest. You know, you're not allowed to charge your fellow Jew interest unless you make a heter iska, that you become his partner. Mafriche yonah, people that play with doves. And sochre shevit, people that... So, why really is somebody that gambles considered a substandard citizen? Because if you're a good Jewish citizen, you should be a kosher witness in the Jewish court of law. So why really is it that a person that gambles, what's the philosophy? What's the logic that he's not allowed? We don't believe him. If he comes to give testimony in the Jewish court, we say, 2 thumbs down, hasta la vista, baby. We don't want to see you. We don't accept you. So there's a machloket between Rami Bar Chama and Rav Shashet. Rami Bar Chama in the Talmud tells us, Mishum da'ave asmachta. This is very important, guys. I want you to listen to this or you're not going to understand the shir. What is asmachta? Basically, and the Rambam and the Sephardim hold this very strictly. Basically, the reason why when you gamble, you're not a kosher Jew to give testimony is because, Ariel, it's considered what? A type of theft, thievery, embezzlement. Why? Who here has ever gambled? Hopefully without money, because
Johnny.
With money...
I've gambled. I have to confess my sins, Rabbi.
See, when you... Let's say, not this joke, this petty baby children games. When you gamble with real money, thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, the concept, Rashi explains it very lucid and crystal clear. Asmachta hainu davar shenoten lo mida'ato. See, what happens is, you're all excited that you're going to win the jackpot, right? And you're going to take $1 million home. But what happens? It's wishful thinking, because when retroactively you lose your 100,000 or 10,000 in the blackjack, are you a happy camper? No. So the way that Maimonides explains this, I'm going to quote Maimonides also, is that basically, when the winner takes the $1 million jackpot, whose money is he taking? All the people that are what?
That lost.
In the house. All the people that lost. Those people, when they part with their money, if you take them back in time, if they were able to take a time machine and would they really give the money if they knew they would lose? No. So it's kind of like a rabbinic stealing. Because when the person parts with his money, it's not with a full heart, right? You're taking everybody's money, and sometimes, it's a sickness. I'm going to talk about that in the end of the class, that besides from the halachic perspective, it's literally like an addiction. Some people, they literally they make their wives, children's parents, entire family go down the drain because they get addicted to gambling. So let's review. One reason why gambling is not allowed is because basically, rabbinically, we consider that you're stealing the people's money, because if they knew they would have lost, they're not a happy camper to give you the money. There's another reason. Rav Sheshet gives another reason why gambling is not kosher. You know why? Because it says, he says this is not considered, but he says another reason. He says the reason is she'eno osek b'yishuvo shel olam. You're basically wasting your life. Somebody that's an impulsive gambler and he does nothing but gambling, he's not an upright and loyal and ethical good citizen, right? He's wasting his time the whole day and night in the clubs. And since there's a beautiful Rashi, he says somebody that just gains his money through not hard work and no education, and he has no fear of God, easy come, easy go. We don't trust him with money because he never worked hard for it. And basically, he's just wasting his entire life in the casinos and bars. And so he is not a person that's really... God created us to do productive work. You understand? Since he's not a productive and good citizen, he doesn't know the value of money because he never really earned it. So somebody that's a full-time gambler, that's another reason that would be disqualified. So the Gemara says, what's the difference between these two opinions? See, according to Rami Bar Chama, even if you're a professional lawyer and you have this bad habit of gambling, you're still not a kosher witness and you're still sinning. Why? Because when you win the house and you take everybody's money, they're not giving you the money wholeheartedly. You understand? To quote the Rambam says it very beautifully. It's considered rabbinical stealing, embezzlement. Why? But Lamaisa, everybody knows that there's only going to be one winner, right? In life there's winners and losers, especially in gambling. So, you have to be a little bit spaced out to think that you're going to win every time. But he says the bottom line is, you didn't really earn the money. It was sheer luck. And it's a game. See, gambling, subconsciously, what the Rambam is saying is gambling, when you start gambling in the casinos, then you start gambling on everything. It's like life is a joke. There's no... We believe that hard work brings good dividends, right?
Sometimes.
But this guy, he's not he's just... It's because it's like a joke, this whole money. Did he really earn this winning the house and winning the car? It was just a random thing. Hareze gezel. So the rabbis look at this as stealing. So there's a very sharp difference, because according to Rami Bar Chana, even if you do this as a habit or as a side thing, you're still disqualified. Why? Because when you take the people's money, you're like a thief. But according to the second opinion, which by the way, the Ashkenazim go this way, that's why the Ashkenazim are a little bit more lenient in this thing. They say no, as long as you have a solid job and you're just doing this, right? The reason why you're disqualified if you gamble, according to Rav Sheshet, is because you're not doing anything productive with your life. But if you have a solid job and this is just a side thing that you just do for entertainment, what would be the law, gentlemen? Would you be kosher?
No.
You would be. If you have a side job, according to Rav Sheshet. So let's see how the commentators on the Talmud see the Tosefot, the Mordechai, and the Ramah, Rav Moshe Israelis. They say basically, they go with the philosophy of Rav Sheshet. That the law follows Rav Sheshet, who does not call gambling stealing even when done amongst Jews. Rav Sheshet says the reason why you're not a good person is because you're wasting your life. But if I'm a doctor, lawyer, or have a solid job, I'm not wasting my life. So gambling, but we that are Sephardic, who do we follow? The opinion of who?
Rabbi Sheshet.
No, Maran Rav Yosef Karo, right? We have accepted a prince of Torah that codified all the Talmudic rulings of the poskim of the Rambam. And so if you are a Persian or Sephardic, I have bad news for you. You can't, if you're in Israel, you can't buy lottery tickets, Rav Ovadia says, because why? The Sephardim follow the opinion of who? Rami Bar Chama, that say, hey, I put $100,000. I was doing wishful thinking. Now when I lost the house, whatever you play, blackjack, Baruch Hashem, I've never stepped foot in Vegas. We're going to get to that soon. My dad, my father should be alive and well. He has a very strong moral and ethical...
Rabbi, what about the stock market?
The opinion. Some stocks are as worse as gambling, I must admit.
That's a good
But
question.
the Rambam, the greatest philosopher and doctor of the Jews in the last 1,000 years, clearly follows whose opinion? Rami Bar Chama. He says, when you take all the money and put it in your pocket, you didn't earn it, and the people are not giving it wholeheartedly. So therefore, it's like rabbinical stealing. And this is how... So the Sephardim, because of this, Rav Ovadia Yosef comes to the conclusion, gentlemen, that when you buy a lottery ticket, millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people in Israel, they had the wishful thinking of taking the money, right? That they're going to win. So by you taking he says it's not recommended. The Yabia Omer says, and I know personally, God-fearing Sephardic Jews, they don't buy lottery tickets in Israel because it's like the winnings that they take is at the expense of what? All these people.
All these other Jews.
What about here? There are
I'm gonna get to that.
No,
I'm gonna get to that. In gambling amongst non-Jews is a second part of the class,
but there are still Jews that are buying.
Yeah, but they're not the majority. They're not the majority. You know, it's.
How do we know, Rabbi?
It could be. It could be that you're stealing from them, so you should stay away. It's good. I mean, probably we would go after Rov. In Halacha, there's a very important concept that majority rules, but that's a very good pointer. But anyways, the Yabia Omer Rav Ovadia Yosef concludes that Sephardic Jews are absolutely forbidden to buy lottery tickets because you're winning at the expense of others, and the money that the other people put into this pool, this lottery, when they lose, it wasn't given in a wholehearted way. Ashkenazim are more lenient, but the Rambam goes a step further. Unfortunately, we are not living in Israel. So, unfortunately, we're not living in Israel. So, let's say you gamble with non-Jews. You go to Vegas or Atlantic City, or they have it over, what's the place on the Colorado River? There's a place in California also. City of Industry.
Indian, like those Indian places.
Yeah, the Indian reservations. The Rambam says that there's no rabbinical prohibition from this rabbinical prohibition of stealing, that gambling is equal to stealing, does not apply to non-Jews. But there's the second problem. See, the Rambam says, okay, rabbinically, the rabbis were only stringent with a fellow Jew, because when he loses his $1,000 in the lottery game, he's not giving it wholeheartedly. That wouldn't necessarily apply to a non-Jew. We don't have the same hard criterion. But the bottom line is that it's a waste of time.
Education.
And the Ra'avad, does anybody know who the Ra'avad is? The Ra'avad is the antagonist of the Rambam. The Rambam wrote a very important book called the Mishneh Torah. Rabbi Avraham ben David was called the Ra'avad. He constantly is critiquing the Rambam. He says the Rambam is wrong in this. And the Ra'avad writes that even if a person gambles with only Gentiles, it is thereby not settling the world. And the opinion of the Ra'avad is that he's also non-qualified. He's not kosher to be a witness in a Jewish court. You understand? The Rambam would hold that. So guys, I know it's summertime And hopefully you're going to be in the Kenisa day and night and learning and doing Tehillim. But if you get bored and you want to gamble, there cannot be no money involved. With Jews, it's considered you're stealing their money when you win the house, and because when they give up their money, it's not wholeheartedly. With non-Jews, it's less stringent, but I want to just take it a step further. Even according to Ashkenazim, it should be noted that the Rambam, see guys, there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. This is the problem with the kosher switch, by the way. See, so technically, gambling with non-Jews, there is some, if you do it full time, it's wrong because you're not settling the world. And again, it's your life is a loser. It's a waste of life. The whole day you're in the casino. But let's say you tell me, Rabbi, I have a solid job. I work 9 to 5. I do this for fun. That brings us to the third part of the class. And that is, or let's say I'm Ashkenazi. I hold like Rav Sheshet, right? I have a solid job. And Rav Sheshet doesn't hold the reason why you're a gambler is because he holds that you're not doing anything productive. But look at me. I work 10 hours a day. I do it only on weekends. See? Unfortunately, guys, I can't say a name, but I know somebody very personal. His parents sent him here in the 1970s to become a lawyer and an architect, a mohandes. His father gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. You know what he did with it? I know this family very personally. All the money, instead of going and getting a college education and investing it, he took it and he flushed it down the toilet. He went and lost, because you know what the problem with gambling is. And this is the spirit of the law. You know what it is, gentlemen? None of us want to be psychologically a loser. So you put $100 in, you lose. What do you want to do? You want to gain it back. So you put $200 in, $300. And guys, do you know Birthright? Do you know who pays for all that?
Sheldon Adelson.
Sheldon Adelson. There's no reason, but he's the second or third richest person in America. People wouldn't be building billion-dollar casinos to make you wealthy, right? In the end of the day, 99% of you are going to be end up people that gamble. The casino always what? Wins. So this addiction to gambling, so gambling, this is the fifth. Guys, do you know that technically there's 4 parts of Shulchan Aruch? But you know what the most important part of Jewish law is? The 5th one. Common sense. See, you should stay away from gambling for 3 reasons, especially in a casino setting. First of all, it could create an addiction that could destroy the family. This family that I'm talking to you about, the father gave the father was one of the best doctors in Iran. He gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to his children. He came here, he saw that they didn't, 90% of it was wiped out on gambling. The mother cried so much, she died of a heart attack because she saw that her son had become an impulsive gambler. And the father, a few years after, it really is like it's not, don't think like, you know, people only think drugs destroys families and washes down people, flushes people's lives down the toilet. Gambling can be equally as
heroin.
It's like a heroin.
Johnny.
And I want to tell you an amazing thing. My father, he's a real estate broker amongst his other professions. He told me that he's so against gambling. He learned this from his father, my grandfather of blessed memory, that one time the convention center, MGM and the convention center used to be connected. He literally walked a mile to get to the convention center, not through the casino, because he wasn't even so religious then, just because he said that it's the most, in his opinion, it's the most impure, satanic thing that a person can do. And so it comes out that a lot of people, have you ever guys heard of the dreidel? Oh, dreidel. I made it out of clay. So on dreidel, people gamble. You should not use money. Some people have this custom that with the dreidel.
How about chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate is something else. But using money again.
I think you shouldn't even use chocolate.
So, guys, the second reason. So the first reason you should stay away from gambling is it could create an addiction and destroy your life. The second reason is Las Vegas is not. It's called Sin City. Like one of the great mashkiach of the biggest yeshiva and the most prestigious yeshiva in America says, somewhere that is known as Sin City, is that a person where a God-fearing Jew should end up?
No.
And the third reason, the gang that you're around, they don't dress proper. Baruch Hashem, I've never been in a casino, and Beli Neder, I never plan to. God, save me that I should never have to enter one. But I know from people that had this addiction that the environment is absolutely what? Is it kosher?
Toxic.
Are the women, the bartenders, the people that are they dressed properly?
I wouldn't know.
Guys, this week, and we're going to end here. This is the end of the shiur. Who knows what this week's parsha is? Parshat Shalach. Who knows what the end of the parsha ends with? Which mitzvah, which is so precious? Does anybody know? Sisit. This week's parsha ends with the episode. We read it every day. We're going to read it right now in Arbit, in Shema. And you know what we read in Sisit? It says, Vehite ani Hashem Elokechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim asher. It says, Vehitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. God says, the reason I took you out of Egypt is to be what? Holy. So when you go to a place that women are half naked, people are drunk, people are gambling and wasting their life, the whole reason God took us out of Egypt is to be a holy nation. You enter a place where it's totally unholy, it is 2 thumbs down. So just to conclude, for Sephardic, it's absolutely forbidden to gamble with fellow Jews because it's considered stealing their money, and it would cause you to be invalid for testimony. It would consider you to be a non-good citizen. Ashkenazim are more lenient. They say only if you do it full time you would be disqualified and you would be considered not a kosher Jew. But even with non-Jews, the Ra'avad and the Rambam says you're wasting your life. You could consider addiction, and especially if you go to the casinos, the whole environment there isn't holy. And a Jew, there's a whole parsha. Who knows which parsha in the Torah talks about being holy? Kedushim. God, it's one of the... That's also one commandment of the Torah. To be what? Holy. And believe me, you may get a lot of hole in your pockets if you go to the casino, because you're going to not walk out with your wallet, but you're going to be holy with the W, not a holy with the H. So may Hashem help us to do productive things. It's the summer, and I urge you to use your time wisely. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Thank you for watching.